to deal with the healthcare laws that are pending, the laws relating to the roads and infrastructure, the laws relating to food and feed safety, and other matters of better quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, allow me to reiterate the 2010 Constitution, which was a turning point in our history. It is where the county governments were born. Your Excellency, given also the trajectory, and according to the UN Women Africa report of 2022, devolution has increased the opportunities for women and other marginalized groups and has allowed them to participate and engage in county-level planning, budgeting, and implementation. This has been great opportunities. And Your Excellency, allow me to end by quoting the Nobel Peace Prize winner, the late Professor Wangari Maathai, who said, "In Kenya, women are the first victims of environmental degradation because they are the ones who have to walk for hours looking for water, to fetch firewood, and to provide food for their families. Given this, I'm confident that the woman today is now has emancipated the degradation courtesy of, the women today have been emancipated from degradation courtesy of devolution programs." And with that, we thank you and wish you fruitful deliberation, signed by Dr. Moses Wetangula, Speaker of the National Assembly. Thank you.
A round of applause for the Speaker of the National Assembly. Next on stage, Your Excellency, is His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, to come and make his remarks. Karibu, Your Excellency Musalia Mudavadi.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, distinguished governors of all our 47 counties, ambassadors, high commissioners, cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I'll be very brief. One, I just want to say that indeed, as we mark 10 years of devolution, we can easily say that if the 2010 Constitution is the crown for the country, then devolution is the critical jewel in that crown. Your Excellency, as I listened to the various presentations, but more so from the US Ambassador, I can only say thank you for pitching for Kenya. You have indeed pitched so firmly for us. And in her conversation, a couple of things arise which could be regarded as rhetorical questions. Because the first question was, why Africa, and specifically why Kenya, and she brought it down to why your county. And she did highlight a few things that ought to be dealt with. So the question that we all go away asking ourselves is, if you're a governor and you have your administration in your county, taking from that pitch, are you a facilitator or are you an obstructor? The same goes for those in the national government. If you are in a particular government department, ask yourself, are you a facilitator or an obstructor? Your Excellency, Devolution has impacted our society tremendously. There are still some challenges, however. We need to focus more on the budget execution, focus on how we will tackle pending bills, continuous capacity building in our counties for better financial management, and indeed, Your Excellency, in equal measure, we must encourage the counties and support them to enhance their own source revenues. Finally, Your Excellency, because this is your day, let me just acknowledge that your being here has signaled total commitment and unwavering support for devolution. And the members of your government who are here, just to acknowledge, we have about 50% of your cabinet here. I have Rebecca Miano, if she can just stand to be acknowledged. Kipchumba Markomen, Honorable Mithika Linturi, Davis Chirchir, Simon Chelugoi, Eliud Owalo, Susan Nakumicha, Salim Vuria, Florence Bore, Ezekiel Machogu. Is there any CS I have missed? At least that's about 50% of the cabinet is present. Equally, about 50% of the PSs are here. We have Julius Bitok, Festus Ngeno, Terry Mbaika, John Oluka, Anne Wangombe, Susan Mangenyi, Kelo Hassan, John Tanui, Nixon Korir, Jonathan Mweke, Idris Hassan, Joel Amurang, Betsy Mudhoni, Hari Kimutai, Mohammed Iba, Kilemi Abubakar Hassan, and Charles Hinga. Your Excellency, taking the cue from you, they are taking devolution seriously, and anybody who doesn't, it will be at their own peril. So, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to all the counties, and we encourage you to continue with a good effort. God bless you all.
A round of applause for the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Asante sana. Next on stage is the Right Honorable Speaker of the Senate, Senator Amason Kingi, who will also recognize the members of the National Assembly and members of the Senate present. Karibu sana, Mr. Speaker.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, allow me to adopt the protocols as cited by the speakers who spoke before me. And before I make my remarks, Your Excellency, allow me also to recognize the presence of senators from the Senate. I will, because of time, maybe I may not be able to introduce them individually, but I will ask them and request them to be upstanding so that they can be acknowledged. There are pretty few, so allow me to mention the names. We have the Majority Leader, Senator Cheriot. We have the Deputy Speaker, Senator Gathuri. We have Senator Chirankei, Senator Methu, Senator Abbas, Senator Karungo, Senator Lelegwe, Senator Cheptumo, Senator Kinyua, Senator Kipsang, Senator Seki, Senator Mwaruma, Senator Nyutu, Senator Veronica, Senator Kavindu, Senator Muma, Senator Tobiko Perez, Senator Manzo, Senator Wakili Sigei, Senator Hamida, Senator Professor Tomo Jenda, Senator Margaret Kamar, Senator Lominen, Senator Murgo, Senator Mofire, Senator Miraj, Senator Montet, Senator of Lamu Kamau, Senator Wakili kutoka Kwale Chimera, Senator Boy, Senator Faki, Senator Mbugwa, Senator, the chairman of Park Moses Kajwang, Senator behind there, Senator of Busia. Yes. Well, I don't need to introduce him, Your Excellency, for reasons better known to all of us. A wonderful gentleman. Senator Boni, you know, my specs are letting me down. Senator Boni, yeah. Senator Obur, the youth leader in the Senate. Senator Gloria, Senator Hezena, and Senator Eddie Okech. Thank you. Oh, Senator Alan Chisang here. Thank you. Your Excellency, indeed it is my honor and great privilege to make my remarks at this very important occasion, the official opening of the Devolution Conference 2023. On behalf of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, I wish to thank each and every one of you for creating time to attend this gathering. Your presence demonstrates your commitment to ensuring success of devolution in Kenya. As framed by the theme, 10 years of devolution, the present and the future, this conference is an ideal platform for stock-taking on the implementation of devolved governance in the past 10 years. Your Excellency, sir, the last 10 years have been an eventful period for this country. Throughout devolution, we directed every ounce of energy in a relentless endeavor to attain the goals and objectives of devolution outlined in our Constitution. The 2010 Constitution, as we are all aware, occasioned a major reconfiguration of state power and responsibilities by devolving an array of functions to the 47 county governments. And clearly defining the mandates of each player in the devolution space, the 2010 Constitution and attendant laws have facilitated a seamless engagement between Parliament of Kenya, comprising of the Senate and the National Assembly, the Council of Governors, county assemblies, and the executives of both national and county governments in championing the cause of devolution. Thanks to the time, effort and resources invested by these institutions in this governance model, devolution has left clear footprints across our nation. Each of the 47 regions has an outstanding story to tell on how devolution has occasioned a positive and impactful realignment of its development priorities and address unique needs of residents. Ladies and gentlemen, it merits acknowledgement that since inception of devolution in 2013, the national government has disbursed a total of 3.3 trillion to devolved units, compared to approximately 289 billion that counties have generated since their establishments. This, by all means, demonstrates significant commitment on the part of the national government to cascade resources and development to the grassroots for the benefit of Kenyans. Allow me to commend you, Your Excellency, for walking the talk in bolstering devolution. As a Senate and Parliament at large, we appreciate the priorities accorded to bills presented to you, sir, for assent, notably the Equalization Fund Appropriation Act 2023, County Allocation of Revenue Act 2023, and the County Government's Additional Allocation Conditional Grants 2023. The stated laws have a direct bearing on county financing, and their prompt enactment and assent paved the way for release of billions of shillings to devolved units for equitable service provision and development projects. An array of other proposed new legislation, nearly 40 in number, are currently being processed by the Senate. We expect that upon their enactment, the legislation will enhance capacity of counties to tap into the enormous potential that they have in form of natural resources, renewable energy sources, and considerable dynamic and versatile workforce in order to thrive and deliver. For the last 10 years, the Senate's contribution to the success of devolution cannot be gainsaid. Through its legislative mandate, the Senate has provided the legal framework upon which devolution was anchored. The Senate remains committed to undertaking responsive, expeditious, and timely processing of legislation. Your Excellency, sir, as we celebrate these great devolution milestones, we must all appreciate the critical role played by county governments, comprising the county executives and the county assemblies. Their resilience and impactful delivery of the last 10 years stand out not only as solid and irrefutable evidence that devolution is working, but also stand tall as a beacon of hope regarding the future of devolved governance. In spite of what stood out as insurmountable odds during the humble beginnings, county governments got the devolved system off the ground and elevated to its deserved pedestal in our national psyche, sustaining our hope and giving us inspiration as a people. With benefit of hindsight, localized and practical experiences, we are now better informed of what works better in devolved units and what doesn't, and what needs to be done to triumph over these emergent challenges and maintain the positive and catalytic momentum. Hurdles such as pending bills that keep accruing at alarming rates, presently estimated at nearly 160 billion, and noted gray areas in some devolved functions will certainly be confined to the dustbins in history if we maintain this trajectory. This will then accord us the much-needed space, time and resources to shift our focus to confronting other emerging threats of our society, such as climate change, unemployment among our youth, and impacts of geopolitical upheavals and economic recession, to name but a few. Ladies and gentlemen, psychologists and human development experts teach us that at 10 years, a normal human being is expected to exhibit certain discernible traits and habits which affirm that he or she is on a normal growth trajectory. They tell us that milestones at that age reflect a marked growth of independence, especially from the parents, formation of healthy relationships, ability to resist negative peer pressure, assumption of some sense of responsibility, and capacity to make better choices, among other vital traits. In my considered view, this analogy best illustrates where we are as a country on matters devolution. After 10 years of practical implementation, all signs are clear that devolution is now ready for a completely new course in enabling and fulfilling the dreams of Kenyans. As a country, we now expect to see more assertive, accountable, transparent, and resilient devolved units that manifest some level of independence from the national government. We yearn to see counties aggressively pursue more beneficial partnerships, networks, and collaborations, adopt a keen sense of responsibility in pursuit of their goals and objectives, as well as acquire capabilities to make their operations and activities self-sustainable. To this idealism and into realism, I challenge devolved units, with the support of all other partners, to embrace new approaches and models in executing devolution. Counties should be ready to explore and adopt novel and more innovative ways of raising on-source revenue to avoid the over-reliance of the national exchequer. Counties must also be inspired to take advantage of the regional economic blocks for shared economic opportunities and growth. To deepen accountability, which is a key ingredient of good governance, county governments must be ready to come up with more stringent measures to curb corruption and ensure county resources are used for the intended purposes and for the benefit of Wananchi. It will be a big win for devolution if devolved units moved fast to seal accountability loopholes, as periodically flagged by the reports of the Office of the Auditor General and also reports by the Senate committees on PIC and PAC. Your Excellency, as I conclude my remarks, I wish to reiterate that attainment of the great goals of devolution going forward will require more than the work of a single institution. Tapping from my 10-year experience as a governor, and now in my capacity as the Speaker of the Senate, I know for a fact that it will take a collegial and partnership-oriented approach to propel devolution to the next level. I urge county governments to add impetus to the thriving partnership with the national government for enhanced capability, especially in the delivery of targets in capital-intensive areas such as housing, health, trade, investments, and agriculture. For all of us, it will be a big win for devolution if devolved units move fast to seal accountability loopholes as periodically flagged by reports of the Office Auditor and the two committees, that is the Senate Committee on PIC and PAC. For all of us partners in devolution space, time has come for us to walk the talk in adopting a friendly, united front in addressing many issues that routinely arise as we implement devolution. This is the spirit the Senate and the Council of Governors exemplified when they firmly resolved, going forward, at a joint inaugural high-level meeting a few months ago to work in synergy for the success of devolution. Let's harness and nurture collegiality amongst us and make the great dream of devolution work for us as a country. In the words of the American author, speaker, and pastor John Calvin Maxwell, he said, "Teamwork makes the dream work." Let us be a team as we push devolution to the next level. I thank you, and may God bless you. We also have the members of the National Assembly. Please be upstanding so that we acknowledge your presence. Members of the National Assembly. Those are the members of the National Assembly. I may not have your names, but we welcome you to the Devolution Conference 2023. And thank you for finding time to come to be with us. Thank you.
Asante sana, Mr. Speaker, sir. Finally, I want to take this opportunity to invite the Chair of the Council of Governors and the Governor for Kirinyaga County to come and make the remarks and introduce or recognize all the other invited delegates and guests. Karibu sana, Madam Governor.
The President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, borrowing from those who've gone ahead of me, Excellency Governors, allow me to say all protocols observed in the interest of time. Good afternoon. I have been requested before I speak to recognize all the other invited guests and participants who are here. So I will request that you just be upstanding for recognition, and we'll recognize them by giving them a good hand clap. We'll request all our development partners and all the staff from development organizations to kindly stand up for recognition. Kindly give them a round of applause. I would assume that the development partners also covered the diplomatic corps. If there are any ambassadors, representatives of governments who are here who did not stand with development partners, you may be upstanding. Representatives from constitutional commissions and independent office holders, kindly be upstanding for recognition. Let's give them a round of applause. All county assembly members from all the 47 counties would like to recognize you, especially in your role that you play in devolution. Kindly, you may be upstanding. Wow. Let's give them a better round of applause. They're almost half of the room. Karibuni sana. All the speakers of county assemblies who are here, kindly be upstanding. Thank you very much. And all the deputy governors who are representing all the counties. Excellent. I think all of them are here. And before I go to the governors, kindly excuse the mix-up of my recognition. All the CECs and CEOs from the 47 counties and any staff of county governments, kindly be upstanding. Excellent. That's a very good number. We appreciate you. And finally, I would like to recognize my colleagues who are here. We are the hosts of the conference. I will ask them to be upstanding, and I'll try as much as possible without my specs to see who's there. We have the Governor of Uasin Gishu, Governor Jonathan B., Vice Chair, Governor Ahmed Wajir, Governor Cecily Mbarire, Chairperson of UDA and Governor of Embu, Governor Susan Kihika, Governor of Nakuru, Governor Nathif, Governor Garissa, Governor Muthomi Njuki, Governor Tharaka Nithi, Governor Kahiga, Governor Nyeri, Governor Makueni, Governor Mutula Kilonzo, Governor Mwadime Taita Taveta, Governor Ngaro Kilifi, Governor of Mombasa, Abdul Samad, Governor Machakos, Wavinya Ndeti, Governor Nyaribo, Governor Nyamira, Governor Marsabit, Governor Mohammed, Governor Gladys Wanga. It's easy to recognize the ladies because of the hair from far and the color. The gentlemen are all in the same suits. Governor Ntutu, Governor Narok, Governor Kakamega. Yesterday he was a bit indisposed. Karibu sana. Governor Badilisha, Governor Nyandarua, Governor Kachapin, West Pokot, Karibu, Governor Lamu, Governor Malombe Kitui, Governor Otuoma, Governor Achane, Kwale, Governor Mwangaza, Meru County, Governor Bungoma, Lusaka, Governor Mandera, Governor Khalif, Governor Baringo, Governor Cheboy, Governor Turkana, Governor Jeremiah, Governor Barchok, Governor Bomet, Governor Samburu, Lelelit, Governor Migori, Governor Kangata, Governor Muranga, Governor Irongo, Governor Laikipia,
Wesley Rotich.
Governor Wesley Rotich. Sorry about that. Governor Mtai Kericho, Governor Arati, Governor Kisii, Governor Dado, Governor Taita. No, not Taita. Tana River, sorry about that. Governor Vihiga, Governor Otuchilo, and finally, Governor Trans Nzoia, Governor Natembeya. That's it. Yeah. So, apologies, Governor Kiambu, Governor Wamatangi. And of course, Chief Whip, Governor Nandi, Governor Stephen Sang. Thank you, Your Excellency. Let's give Governor Nandi a hand clap for steering the session very well. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, on behalf of the Council of Governors, I take this opportunity to welcome you to the 8th Devolution Conference, which is the first biannual Devolution Conference. And before I go forward, Your Excellency, as a good student of the Bible, I have to start properly with thanksgiving. Your Excellency, accept on behalf of my colleagues our sincere gratitudes for the end-of-year disbursements, which were on time for the first time in 10 years. Your Excellency, also, for the first time in 10 years, we got our July disbursements for this financial year that we've started 2023-2024 on time. Thank you very much. I will tell you, many of us and many of our colleagues have told you, we were quite pleasantly surprised, and we're looking forward to that trend going forward. Your Excellency, I know we started off in a little bit of a rough footing because of the disbursements, and there was a time we, as governors, even threatened to shut down counties. Your Excellency, at the time, we had been reminded of a proverb that says, because all lizards lie on their tummies, you can never know which one has a stomachache. So if you don't shout, you'll assume all lizards are the same. So we were trying to get your attention. But thereafter, Your Excellency, you counseled us on better lessons to follow, and you asked us to come together, come and reason together, which we have since been doing with you and with your government. And we have to say that the relationship hasn't been better. Has never been better. This has been the best, I think, last couple of months working together with the national government, and we truly thank you for the partnership and support. I would have expected a hand clap for the partnership. I'm sure all of us are relieved not to be having press conferences, press statements. And to all the other distinguished guests, karibuni. We meet again after 2 years to measure the progress made in the implementation of the devolved system of governance after its inception a decade ago. We have 3 days to candidly evaluate the hits and misses of devolution, and together we'll generate responsive and concrete policy, legislative, administrative proposals that will aim to further and strengthen devolution for the next decade. I would like to recognize the captains that led the preparation of this year's conference, the esteemed steering committee, which was co-chaired by the Vice Chair of the Council, Governor Ahmed Abdullahi, Professor Senator Margaret Kamar, Honorable Member of the Senate, the Principal Secretary, State Department of Devolution, Madam Teresia Mbaika, Honorable Philemon Sabulei, Chair of the County Assembly's Forum, and the CEO of COG. My heartfelt gratitude also goes to the Planning Committee and all other institutions represented here who selflessly committed their time and effort to plan and prepare for the conference. We appreciate you, asanteni sana. I would also like to recognize the presence of our development partners who are joining us from different parts of the world. We also say karibuni sana. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather in Eldoret this year in the context of the following. First, Kenya, like other nation states of the world, is still recovering from the devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. 2020 and 2021 were difficult years for all of us. Travel and business restrictions and rampant lockdowns almost paralyzed world economies, and Kenya was no exception. However, since last year, we have proven to ourselves what a resilient people we are, and with most sectors exhibiting a strong rebound. According to the National Treasury, Kenya's economy is projected to grow by 5.5% in 2023 and above 6% over the medium term. Second, our economy and social sectors continue to experience disruption from shocks of climate change. According to the United Nations Environmental Programme, UNEP, while Africa has contributed negligibly to the changing climate with just about 2 to 3% of global emissions, it stands out disproportionately as the most vulnerable region in the world. To bring the reality closer home, we are just recovering from a prolonged and distressing drought that cost us many lives and livelihoods. Third, we are on the last mile of the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. The UN Agenda 2030 has 7 more years to go. SDG indicators are embedded in the Vision 2030 through the medium-term plans, and we are indeed in the last decade of action for both the SDGs and the Vision 2030. With each SDG having a linkage to a county function, it is undeniable that the realization of the socio-economic targets in both the global and national agendas will crystallize at the county level. Your Excellency and distinguished guests, the story of the journey of devolved governments over the last 10 years is one worth telling. I was privileged to serve as the first Cabinet Secretary of the then Ministry of Devolution and Planning. I experienced firsthand the intrigues of the Big Bang transition from the centralized system to the devolved one. On the onset, all of us were delighting in the success of the first election following the promulgation of the Constitution 2010. The inclusion of senatorial, gubernatorial, and members of county assembly positions opened the elective space for more opportunities to serve in the public sector. This was exciting and brought a lot of enthusiasm and joy, but it was, at the time, very short-lived. Soon thereafter, there came a conflict between the national government and the then new county government. Someone I suspect to be a learned friend must have whispered to the ears of the governors that county governments were constitutionally guaranteed at least 15% of the equitable share. Further armed with the knowledge that funds follow functions, the pioneer governors demanded for the immediate transfer of all county functions to the county governments. At the time, those of us in the national government were hesitant, owing to the fact that the county governments had not been fully established. But in hindsight, transferring critical functions to counties was a good decision, despite initial transitional challenges having been thrust into the deep end. They quickly learned to swim and stay afloat. It was unbeknown to me that a few years later, I would be on the other side, now elected as a governor, and asking for the devolution of all the remaining county functions from the national government. We have realized that this political space of ours is quite mobile and not fixed, and therefore we have agreed even with the Senate to continue working in harmony, because you don't know, those who are on this side as governors may end up as senators next time, and those who are members of parliament as governors, and vice versa. We anticipate that this current and third cycle of devolved governments now, having set the stage and the legal framework required, will be a performance stage the next 5 years. We are now focused on steering county governments towards the delivery of high outcome results for each of the 14 county functions. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of performance and results, we have already realized many successes along our devolved journey. Let me mention but a few. For the first time since independence, Mandera County performed its first cesarean delivery at Takaba Sub-County Hospital in 2014. In Samburu County, maternal deaths have over the last 10 years declined by over 79% since the county government constructed housing units within the health facilities for expectant mothers to move in with their families weeks before delivery. In 2013, at the time county governments were taking over the health docket, there were only 8,466 health facilities across the country. As at the time of reading the State of Devolution Address in 2022, there were 13,722 health facilities in the counties, almost double. Many counties have improved their community health outreach, improved human resource allocation and skills, as well as improve their medical facilities to level 5, such as in Kakamega and Kirinyaga, and upgrades to level 4, such as in Wajir. In the last decade, we have seen county health facilities offer specialized services such as dialysis, thereby reducing the burden on national referral hospitals. Regular training of community health workers and providing them with digital tools has enabled counties like Kisumu to save many lives through timely interventions such as the detection and management of COVID-19 cases, support to expectant mothers, and smooth transfer of those in need of specialized medical attention to hospital. We have witnessed significant county investment in agriculture sector since 2013. County governments are now allocating an average of 7.3% of their budgets to agriculture. The initiation of the One Cow Per Household program in the financial year 2013-2014 by Kakamega County has translated into the following. In 2015, the dairy population in Kakamega County was 147,820, producing 131.7 million liters of milk annually. In 2022, the dairy herd has increased to 170,000 herds of cattle, resulting in a 30% increase in milk production in that county. In 2016, Extension services covered a total of 541,627 farmers. When I read the State of Devolution address on 30th June 2023, I reported that farmers accessing extension services now in Kenya total 3,955,182. In the trade sector, as of 2022, county governments had registered 124,420 micro-enterprises, 87,153 small enterprises, 34,727 medium enterprises. To support these businesses, counties have set up enterprise funds that have benefited over 7,000 SMEs through the disbursement of loans and grants. These are quantified in meat production areas such as in ASAL counties, high fish production in non-traditional counties, as well as continuously improving yields in cotton, rice, coffee, and tea growing counties, production in those counties. The Wezesha Kirinyaga Economic Empowerment Program is a county initiative whose objective is to organize farmers' groups into cooperatives to enhance their capacity for the sustainable commercialization of value chain-based activities. By incorporating digitization and related technologies and aggregation centers, new income streams have resulted through chicken rearing, egg production, aquaculture, and fingerling production, dairy farming, and enhanced milk production, improved tomato farming through certified seedlings, amongst other value chains. The Wezesha Kirinyaga program has had a far-reaching direct impact on 49,697 farmers, and there are an additional 148,973 farmers who have benefited indirectly. The innovative Chuka market, which has a creation in Tharaka Nithi County, has provided emotional security for parents and enables traders with young children to better focus on their trading activities. There is so much more, like ECD improvements in Kwale. Wajir is now growing vegetables, urban planning in Vihiga powered by digital innovation, and there is a lot more that we've also seen in the video. As I tie up my quick highlights of county successes, I cannot forget to mention the fact that county governments have been at the forefront of promoting the adoption of climate-smart technologies and solutions. The county government of Kilifi is leading efforts to conserve the environment by encouraging residents to reduce charcoal use and turn to briquettes as a clean source of energy. Through the Voices of Just Climate Action Initiative, birthed from the signing of a 5-year partnership with the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, the county has donated briquette-making machines to its 7 sub-counties as a strategy to reduce deforestation and charcoal burning. There are over 200 stories relating to best practices and innovations on the service delivery that have emerged from counties in the last decade. I cannot mention all of them today, but I invite you to visit our Marifa Center to witness the remarkable transformation documented in the devolved sector. Let me make a clarion call To all devolution champions, devolved governments have faced and continue to face a myriad of challenges: shortage of funds, misalignment of policies, laws and administrative actions, slow implementation of intergovernmental decisions, sometimes ineffective management of human capital, slow implementation of intergovernmental decisions, among numerous other factors. These setbacks collectively undermine the powers and functions of county governments. Having seen what devolved governments have achieved and realizing their potential to do much more, even faster, allow me to make a clarion call to all devolution champions. Let us be driven to grow our nation. Let us endeavor to match the aspirations of our people. Let us commit to deliver timely services to our citizenry, and let us wholeheartedly commit to placing Kenyans first, as in Kenya Kwanza. Very often, in the discourse around devolution, county governments and development, county assemblies are often disregarded and sometimes overlooked. Allow me, Your Excellency, to take this moment to raise an issue on behalf of the county assemblies. All the achievements that we have cited in devolution and much more would be unattainable without their support and indulgence. In the wisdom of hindsight and experience, we should accord county assemblies their rightful place as the load-bearing beams and the pivoting pillars in our development objectives. We achieve this by first, Your Excellency, and I know that you're very much in support of this, first accepting their full autonomy so that they can be granted separate autonomy from county governments. And it will also ease a lot of pressure on our side as governors so that we are always not push and pulling between the county assemblies and the county governments. The second thing, Your Excellency, is that as your government strives to excel from the bottom up, county assemblies are in fact the footprint of government for Mwananchi. Their community obligations, Your Excellency, as you well know, may not be sufficiently captured in their job descriptions. Yet their remunerations has been reduced over the year. Your Excellency, you can imagine those who are county assembly members in the previous and ran again to be re-elected, only to come and find that their terms had been reduced. I know, Your Excellency, that you're wise, you're kind, you're long-sighted, you're visionary, your resolve is all that is required. And Your Excellency, all I can say is that for the county assemblies, Your Excellency, the Senate already provided a ceiling for the county assemblies. So it does not alter the budget at all. It's actually within the budget that has already been provided. All that they are restricted in consideration of their welfare is the restriction by the SRC, and we would like to request that, Your Excellency, this being your foot soldiers and those that hold both the government and programs at the ground, at the bottom of the pyramid, that Your Excellency, you will consider that request. Your Excellency, we focus the next 5 years on performance in key areas that will definitely transform our country. We are partnering with the national government in all the key agendas of your government. And Your Excellency, as a council, we want to commit to work together with your government to ensure that we achieve the expectations of the Kenyan people. As I conclude, let me take this opportunity to convey immense gratitude to our partners who have supported this conference, the United States government, especially the platinum partners, Safaricom PLC, Kenya Commercial Bank, AMREF, and all our other partners. Thank you for your magnanimous contributions to this conference. Your Excellency, you are beyond a platinum partner for us in this conference. The national government supported way above our expectations through the Office of the Deputy President, and we thank you very much. Distinguished guests, I wish you all fruitful discussions in the coming days of the conference. It is now my honor and duty to humbly invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to come give his remarks and officially open the first biennial Devolution Conference. Let's welcome His Excellency with a hand clap.
Asante sana, Madam Chair. Tafadhali, let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Governors, CSS President, Deputy Governors, PSS, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, our development partners, Speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate, Speakers of County Assemblies, members of the Senate, members of National Assembly, members of County Assemblies, staff of our national and county governments, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Hamjambo. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you to my hometown. Just to give you a bit of geography, I went to primary school, pre-primary school actually, about 25 minutes drive northwest of here. And I went to secondary school maybe 2 minutes drive from here to the school I went to there. And so while I am here, I am a village boy. So welcome, and I am truly, truly grateful that the first Devolution Conference you have granted my home county and my hometown the honor to host. I am delighted to be with you today as we commemorate the 10th anniversary of the most transformative achievement of the radically progressive constitution that the people of Kenya gave to themselves 13 years ago this month. Our country's constitution-making journey covers many historic milestones of the struggle for a new dispensation for true political, social, and economic freedom, and our collective quest for a nation to complete the journey begun by our forefathers who fought valiantly to resist colonial rule, as well as our brave freedom fighters who sacrificed immensely to win sovereignty for our nation. In this journey, the people of Kenya engaged each other across the country with courage and determination and negotiated relentlessly on the understanding that a new governance paradigm was absolutely necessary and, in fact, inevitable. As we reflect and reminisce about constitution making, one thing becomes absolutely clear. In all the bargainings, horse trading, deal-making and consensus building that went into the various processes which contributed to the development of the drafts that formed the basis of the ultimate document, the citizens of Kenya were emphatic, persistent, and unequivocal about one thing, that decentralization, sharing, and devolution of power and resources was both overdue, and in fact, it was non-negotiable. And that was agreed across the country. As the Latin proverb goes, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Based on this unambiguous imperative from the people, leaders exercised very limited authority to debate and negotiate the modalities of instituting effective devolution that would actualize the people's and most cherished aspiration of devolution. In other words, the question was never whether devolution would happen, but only in what form. The drive to devolve stemmed from the bitter experience of extractive colonial institutions, which invested heavily in the White Highlands and brutally neglected elsewhere. This practice found expression in the National Economic Planning and Development Policy promulgated shortly after independence, which formalized inequalities and marginalization and led to the emergence of zero-sum politics and gross inequality in the allocation of public resources that informed our early years of our nationhood. This resulted in underdevelopment and economic stagnation, weakening of nationhood through strained bonds of cohesion and common endeavor, and a torn social fabric. Kenyans knew what the problem was, and as well, they knew what was the cause. This is the reason for the unanimous insistence on decentralization and sharing across the country. I therefore recall engaging with my parliamentary colleagues over a protracted period about how many levels of decentralization there would be and how many territorial or geographical units of devolved governance we would need. Some people went for 4 levels of governance, while others preferred only 2. An ambitious middle ground proposed 3 levels. Similarly, reluctant devolutionists campaigned for 8 units to coincide with the administrative provinces, whereas others wanted 14 regions, yet others demanded numbers varying from 24 to 56. I happen to have been part of this history, and I am very privileged that I participated in this conversation. And I'm very happy that today we are celebrating 10 years of devolution. What was no longer subject of controversy or subject of canvassing was the principle and object of devolution. The people had been clear, and on 27 August 2010, Kenyans ratified a constitution which embedded devolution into the very definition of our republic under Article 6 that describes the territory of Kenya, not only in terms of its boundaries, but also according to our counties. In Article 10, the Constitution also highlights sharing and devolution of power, democracy, and participation of the people, as well as equity, social justice, inclusiveness, non-discrimination, and the protection of the marginalized as national values and principles of governance, with preemptory implications for the exercise of constitutional authority by any person at any place at any time. Counties are therefore intrinsic to the Constitution and proper definition of the Republic of Kenya. They exist to serve as platforms of actualization of the sovereignty of the people in several fundamental ways. They make state power more democratic and accountable, and promote unity through diversity by arbitrating between competing political impulses towards disintegration on one end and over-centralization on the other. Devolution also restored to the people their powers of self-governance and promoted their participation in the exercise of powers of state and in making of all decisions that affect them. Under devolution, our communities regained the right to manage their own affairs, while the interests and rights of minorities and marginalized could no longer be ignored. Article 174F of the Constitution sets out what the chair of the Council of County Governors, my dear sister there, Anne Mumbi Waiguru, correctly referred to as the role of county governments as the last mile implementers of critical development agenda, including the AU's Agenda 2063, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, Kenya's Vision 2030, and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. It states that one objective of the devolution of government is to promote social and economic development and the provision of proximate, easily accessible services throughout Kenya, as is that of enhancing checks and balances and separation of power. To remove any doubt as to what Kenyans really wanted to do with devolution, the Constitution sets out one object of devolution to be that of facilitating the decentralization of state organs, their functions and services from the capital of Kenya. By design, devolution was destined to instigate unprecedented transformative change in every part of our political governance and development reality. It recalibrated our democracy, development, and reoriented policymaking by simply redefining what was at stake at all times and handing over power to the people in their greatest number. This change was dramatic, and a change management framework was essential to the smooth transition into the brave new world that we got ourselves into. Despite the efforts of the Transition Authority and the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, the inauguration of devolution a decade ago was fairly noisy. And I know it because I have had the privilege of being the chair of IBEC since the first day we rolled out devolution until I changed jobs. Executives of both levels could not agree on mandates, each suspicious that the injury of losing functions would inevitably be followed by the insult of losing funding. Legislatures, too, had their friction. At the same time, county assemblies and executives had many a disagreement over respective authority and limits, while at the national level, the Senate and the National Assembly engaged in a tug-of-war over oversight and budget making mandates, even as both eyed the national executive with restless suspicion. We were suspected by the National Assembly. We were also suspected by the Senate. So we didn't have many friends. The Council of Governors quickly emerged as a forceful champion of quick and total devolution, challenging elements in the national government which were still reluctant to let go of many powerful functions. I remember we had in the law a period of 3 years to transfer functions, but we transferred almost 90% of the functions in the first year. And many people thought we didn't make the right decision. With the benefit of hindsight today, I think we made the right decision to accelerate the devolution of functions because it gave county governments the opportunity to develop the capacities to be able to appropriate those functions and take over their mandates. Those were very hard times because I remember them. But there were also times of fast learning and quick adaptation to relentless change. We discovered the limits of adversarial competition and zero-sum contests and recognized the power of alternative dispute resolution and patient consensus building. Article 189 began to make sense and to take shape of a very inspired consent, while the intergovernmental frameworks, Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, and the Intergovernmental Summit revealed their value because we managed to sort out many things using these frameworks in a negotiated way rather than taking things to court. Once everyone was finally clear that there were no losers, no winners in the transformation, and that devolution and Kenyans had won, leaders at both levels of government finally got round to recognize the brilliant genius of the people of Kenya in never once doubting the power and the promise of devolution. Devolution has grown tremendously in a decade. It has matured from a delicate fledgling with limited institutional capacity to administer resources, provide services, and generate own revenues, to fully operational governments touching the lives of people at the grassroots, undertaking ambitious development programs and driving economic growth. And we commend our county governments for the transformation that is visible in the Republic of Kenya. There remains much more to do, and many shortcomings are still evident. But only a serious, inattentive person would say today that devolution has no impact in any part of Kenya. And you have to be really ungrateful. Very often, many of the positive outcomes of devolution are evident to those who have observed our rural areas and formerly remote and neglected regions over time. I am particularly encouraged by what we have achieved in the areas of health, agriculture, education, infrastructure, trade, development in the last 10 years of devolution. It is true that devolution has encountered setbacks owing to poor coordination, administrative rigidities, and inefficiencies, which have suppressed effective performance. At the same time, there remains capacity shortfalls, which also contribute to suboptimal performance and frequently poor to absent implementation of policies, programs, and projects. It cannot be denied that on the whole, the management of the equitable allocation framework can do with a timely and more efficient administration. Delays in disbursing allocation to counties have tremendous negative effects which cascade all the way to the households at grassroots level, leading to poor outcomes in many sectors. There is no excuse for this, and we simply have to do better. As has been said here evidently, and as I made a commitment, there are three fundamental issues that inform this particular assertion. Number one, we made a commitment that we are going to analyze and frame all the remaining functions that are still being discharged by national government and transfer them to the counties. I am very happy that between the national government and the transition, the committee that is responsible for that job and the other stakeholders, We have finally agreed on the functions that should be transferred. An analysis is going on the funding that will accompany the transfer of those functions. And I am told that in the next 60 days, we should be able to transfer all the remaining functions to our counties. Number two, as was said by the Council of the Chair of the Council of Governors, being a strong believer in devolution and having made a commitment that we will do what is possible to make sure that we try to the extent possible to keep to the timelines of disbursing money that is due to counties. Two things have happened. Unlike last financial year, where we crossed the year with about 30 billion due to counties, this year, I did make sure that every cent that was meant for counties was paid before we closed the books for last year. And again, we have paid the July allocation on time. I intend, to the extent possible, to keep to this schedule so that counties can manage their issues, deliver on their mandate, serve the people at the grassroots, roll out their programs, implement their projects in a timely manner and in a way that benefits people at the grassroots. It is for the reason that I have managed to do that with my administration. We also gave a commitment to support the bottom-up economic transformation agenda by promoting stronger performance at grassroots through collaboration with county governments and enhancing the equitable allocation of the county governments from 370 billion in the 2022-2023 financial year to 385.4 billion in 2023-2024 financial year. The Equalization Fund was also allocated 8.3 billion, an increase of 1.2 billion in the same period. We made a firm commitment to the people of Kenya to strengthen devolution by implementing specific interventions. First, we undertook to transfer all the functions, as I have said. Second, we pledged to implement a framework that ensures national agencies carry out devolved or shared mandates, operate a funding followed functions principle with respect to devolved functions, which I have said we will roll out in the next 2 months. Additionally, we promise to support county governments in improving their capacity to generate their own income and reduce over-reliance of transfers from the national government. I will speak to that later. Further, we vowed to ensure that shareable revenue is transferred to counties in a timely and predictable manner and in accordance with the law. Finally, we undertook to transfer funds owed to beneficiary counties under the Mining 2016 and the Petroleum 2019 Acts, and to collaborate with counties to increase the capacity of such counties to benefit from extractive resources. Money that I have instructed to be disbursed this year. We recognize that the bottom-up economic transformation agenda will achieve its highest potential and lift up the highest number of people if we focus thoroughly on collaboration with county governments in order to empower them as the stewards of development at the grassroots, or at the bottom, as it were. I recognize the merit in demands for increased allocation of shareable revenue to counties. I also realize that even if devolution is, by law, a two-tier affair, it should, in practice, reach the lowest and smallest possible unit of political organization. Under the principle of subsidiarity, the ward must in time become a central driver of bottom-up economic transformation. I am also in support of taking devolution to its fullest extent. I thank the Council of Governors for the well-organized format of this conference, and I know the Chair has mentioned two other things, apart from what I have mentioned, the issue of making county assemblies truly independent and financially so. I think that is an aspiration, and that is a concept that I share, and we will work with the necessary stakeholders and institutions to make sure that the Senate provides the framework for the independence of our county assemblies so that they can have their independent votes. I know a matter has been also raised about salaries and allowances. That is a very difficult one, I must admit, because the balance is between increasing the salaries of those of us who have jobs or creating opportunities for the 4 or 5 million who do not have a job. That is the conversation we must have. So it is quite a balance, you agree. So hapo iko kizungumkuti kidogo na tutaongea. What I want to promise you is that we are going to work with all the institutions, because I have requested SRC to give us a proper advisory on the matters of salaries and wages. It is a subject that, as a country, we must confront. We must know that from the president to the assistant at the office, we all work for the people of Kenya. We live in the same country. We take our kids to school. We provide for their upkeep, provide for their food. We pay the hospital bills, all of us. And therefore, pay must reflect the fact that we all serve the same people. And we have come to discover, for example, that there are people who have awarded themselves salaries. People in some parastatals, people in some other institutions who earn more than the president. And you ask yourself, what is this job this fellow is doing? That is so, so there is a conversation we are going to have. So I want to tell my county members of county assembly, that is a conversation we are going to have, and you are going to be treated the same way members of parliament who are serving in the legislature will be treated. I further commend the organizers of this meeting for clarity of purpose with which they developed the headlines and the themes therein. It is time for us as a country to shift the gear into implementing devolution over the next decade. The authors and beneficiaries of devolution, who are also our sovereign employers, demand and deserve the highest possible value for their resources, which must be delivered without fail. It is therefore time to take measures to enhance efficiency and effectiveness and ensure that, with respect to every policy, program, and project, the highest standards are achieved consistently. Inevitably, this requires us to finally usher in the performance management for high quality and sustainable service delivery in our counties. We know from experience that a robust performance management framework has enabled us implement the Vision 2030 and achieve other ambitious targets with greater efficiency. we have a duty to deliver the same benefits in our counties. The next phase of implementing devolution also requires us to think long and hard about the most fundamental variable in all development agendas, that is resources. Over-dependence on allocations is beginning to unfairly constrict the frontiers of productive possibilities for the devolved units and severely limit their horizons of transformation. We see counties as the most sustainable drivers of shared prosperity and bottom-up economic transformation. Our partnership with counties in implementing aspects of our agenda has enabled us accomplish a lot of positive outcomes and outline great possibilities for future partnership. The micro and small and medium enterprise sector, jua kali and other informal hustles, agriculture, livestock, fisheries, beekeeping, and other economic activities can be transformed by increased support from county governments into sustainable pathways to higher earnings, wealth creation, and poverty reduction. The emergence of regional economic blocs and other inter-county collaborative mechanisms to kickstart broad industrial activity are a highly promising development. The possibility of consolidation and joint exploitation of opportunities also makes it possible to package competitive opportunities for local and international investors. All these opportunities have significant positive implications for county revenues and therefore revenues available for counties to implement transformation on a more ambitious scale. Of course, I must not forget to acknowledge the role played by our development partners, local and international investors, philanthropies, civil society, and other action groups, as well as volunteers and well-wishers who continue to support devolution and devolved governments. One of the purposes of devolution was not only to enhance participation and inclusion by promoting diversity, it was also to make marginalized communities and minorities to be centralized in our democracy and to be properly represented and have opportunities to participate and benefit from it. We must therefore remain vigilant to ensure that this critical imperative is realized and to be ready to undertake robust affirmative action to protect women, to protect youth, the disabled, as well as minorities and marginalized people. In her clarion call for champions of devolution, the chair of the Council of Governors enumerated various challenges faced by devolved governments, and her assessment is fairly well considered. It is important that we endeavor to resolve these challenges, and I believe that a number of commitments and interventions I have canvassed above go some way towards addressing them. One item was conspicuously absent from the chair's list. It is well known, has a long pedigree, and equally formidable legacy of devastation. Kenyans agonize continuously over it and would like to witness decisive action to bring it to an end. It is poor governance and specifically corruption, manifested through incompetence, negligence, poor professional standards, inefficiency, waste, mismanagement, and outright theft. I am happy that the plenum session set out good governance practice as one focal area for the attention of this conference, because I have made my commitment to good governance and in particular decisive action against corruption very clear. On the 10th anniversary of devolution, we must use the 8th Devolution Conference to speak emphatically to an issue that must disturb all of us. As far as I can tell, it was never the spirit or intent of the people of Kenya to devolve corruption. mismanagement, and malpractice to counties. Yet, many counties have evolved into notorious epicenters of wanton looting, with everyone from the executive to the county junior staff implicated in a wild free-for-all at the expense of essential service delivery. Many innocent Kenyans are victimized, undeserved, or altogether neglected on a daily basis because of this devolved criminality. Counties must not become drivers of scandal, incubators of graft, or embezzlement hubs. The people of Kenya deserve better, and they must be rid of this reckless betrayal. We must liberate the devolution from corruption. I speak about this with passion because it is a conversation I have equally had with my cabinet and my PSs and members of parastatals. It is a conversation we have had. It cannot be business as usual, friends. And this fight, we have to lead it from the front. It causes mayhem and chaos in the delivery of public service. And Kenyans across the board, from the entire political divide, want us to stand on the same side against corruption. I know they do. For this reason, we shall treat corruption at all levels of government as a high-priority law enforcement issue requiring expeditious and decisive response. Regardless of position, office, or status, any person implicated in the loss of public funds, whether in the national or devolved government, must encounter the punitive consequences of their action in full. I expect the agencies concerned to move with speed and attend to the many cases of corruption that are festering in many counties, including Uasin Gishu County. I wish to submit to this conference that we have a proven hack, a smart solution to kill the two birds of poor governance and efficient delivery of service with one stone. That hack is digitization and automation. I therefore encourage you, my friends, the good people who run our county governments, to embark on the journey of integrating digital solutions and ICT to service delivery and project implementation in your counties. We are open and we are going to support all the county governments to digitize their service. I am very happy that many counties have come forward to work with the ministry responsible, the ICT ministry, and the Ministry of Interior in making sure that we digitize all our services. I have also instructed the departments responsible to work with counties if you need support in matters of raising revenue, digitizing the revenue space. We are going to work with you so that as we digitize services or collection of taxes at KRA and other areas, we are ready to work with the counties to make sure that we support the counties as is required of us by the law in making sure that you too are part of this digitization and automation process. Let me make a summary, let me make a summary in a very short way of where I think what I have said in many words. There are 5 points which I want to put across to my friends leaders who are here. I know we have ministers here, we have governors here, and all our executives are here. We have PSS, we have CEOs, we have CECs, we have very senior staff from all our counties. It is said that you cannot do the same thing in the same way over and over and expect different results. It is actually a streak of madness if you expect anything different. So, as a country, we have a historic moment to take this country to the next level. I want to persuade governors who are here. We have a historic moment. I want to persuade ministers who are here and Kenyans who are listening to us. We have a historic moment as a nation to change the trajectory of our nation and to unlock the great potential that Kenya has always been and make it a reality for our people. And we just need to do a couple of things. Let me just give a few examples. Today, we import 520 billion of food items every year. Every year, from edible oil to wheat, to sugar, to rice, things that we can produce in Kenya. We must undertake, my buddies, governors, we must agree that it is time. We have the human capital, we have the resources, we have the land to produce all these items in Kenya, save ourselves foreign exchange, improve the earnings of our farmers, and improve the general wealth of our population. Because this 520 billion is a market that we don't have to look for. It is a market that is already in Kenya. All we need to do is to produce and satisfy that market. So, edible oil, for example. I have had a conversation with many governors. I last had the last conversation with Governor Wanga from Homa Bay. We've had this conversation from Migori, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Siaya, Busia, Kakamega, Bungoma. We are spending 120 billion every year to import edible oil. We can produce this edible oil in Kenya. Those 6 counties, including the ones at the coast, from Lamu, Tana River, Kilifi, a bit of Mombasa, and Kwale, we can produce. And we are now working on a program, and I want to ask my friends, the governors, to work with us so that we can stop importing products that our farmers can produce. Palm oil is one space we're going to work on with you. We have already identified where we are going to get the seeds. We want to work with you to get the farmers, to get the areas. We've already done a bit of work in that space, number 1. Number 2, sunflower. We are already importing seeds, 200,000 tons. We want to begin the planting. We have identified the counties, we've sensitized the counties to begin in October to plant for sunflower. Go down to canola, go down to sesame in Busia. Go down to, what is that other? Groundnuts and the rest of them. We have all that space to produce edible oil in Kenya. I want to encourage the counties who are here to work with us collaboratively. We are going to unlock a huge potential. Rice is one such. We have 120,000 acres in Tana River. We have an extra 20,000 acres in Kirinyaga. We have almost 20,000 acres in Busia. We have another 20,000 acres in Ahero. We have almost 30,000 acres in Kucha. I think that must be in Migori. With 200,000 acres, we can produce 800,000 tons of all the rice that we today pay 70 billion shillings every year to import. The numbers are there, the farmers are there. We have what it takes to do all that. Let me also say something about sugar, which we are sorting out, cotton, which we are already disputing, seeds, livestock. We have 650 milk coolers that shortly we will be distributing to counties to support our dairy, make sure that dairy and milk is of the quality that gives us more money. The whole space about leather and meat and what we are doing in that space. Good people, we must stop importing these 520 billion shillings every year that our farmers can produce in Kenya, and we need to work together to make sure that that's not what happens. Number two, we need to agree on being deliberate and intentional about creating opportunities for our young people to find jobs and work. You heard my elder sister Meg, what she said here. By the way, many people may have been wondering whether she was talking about Kenya or another country. For your information, she was talking about Kenya. Yeah? And we have managed, you've seen the list of investments that have been done in the last 12 months. And it is because we made a conscious decision to change some of our policies. When I made a commitment, when I went to the American Chamber, when I made a commitment that we are going to change our laws, we are going to change our policies to make sure that Kenya becomes investment friendly. Many people did not realize where we were going. Today, of all the 9 or 10 issues Meg put here, we have implemented 80, maybe 85%. We are remaining with 1 or 2, which take a bit longer. And with that, we have seen an investment of close to beyond 200 billion in just the last 12 months in our country to create opportunities for jobs, to drive away poverty. We must be intentional, my governors. We must be intentional about creating opportunities for young people in Kenya, for Kenyans to have access to work. That is why we are rolling out housing. And I am very happy we have a partnership with counties on matters of housing, because our intention is to create 1 million jobs from our housing plan. Number two, we are targeting, because when you heard the American ambassador say companies are giving accounts, witness accounts, that our Kenyan workforce, human capital, is the best globally. We must be deliberate about how do we harness this world-class human capital to drive our economy and to drive our progress. How do we do it? Number one, we made a conscious decision this year that we are going to invest more in sharpening that human capital by investing more in education. It is the reason why our budget this year on education went to 630 billion, the highest in the history of Kenya. Because that human capital cannot become what it is unless it is sharpened using training, education, knowledge acquisition. It is the reason why we have hired 56,000 teachers. It is the reason why we have changed our funding model so that we make sure that it delivers much more accurately on the aspirations that we are looking for, on the skills that we are looking for. But we must be intentional about, as we invest in education and training of our human capital, we must be intentional on when they leave school and college and university, we must also be intentional on job creation. And for the first time, that is what we have done. We have been intentional. That is why we have the housing fund, so that we can generate 1 million jobs using our housing plan, number one. Number two, that is why we are intentional about digital jobs. You heard the earlier presentations here. We intend to create another 1 million jobs in the digital space. That is why we are going to be investing in at least an ICT hub in every ward. I want MCAs to listen to me. You must demand where is the ICT hub for your ward. We are working with the members of parliament. We are working with the ministry so that we can have 500, 1,000 young people around our ICT hubs for digital jobs. We have huge opportunities for digital jobs. Number three, and before I go to number three, I have also asked our friends, the county governors, that we also want to tap into the vocational training centers under the county governments. We want the vocational training centers to be also hubs of ICT. We would want to invest in at least an ICT hub in every vocational training center, so that again, we can train more, we can use technology, so that this world-class human capital we have can work for the globe. Number three, we are working on making sure that this world-class labor we can export. And I want to thank many countries that have given us opportunity to export our labor. I have given very clear directions to my dear sister Florence. She knows what she must do for us to at least get 1 million exports of labor from Kenya, 1 million jobs. In our manifesto, we made a commitment that we want to increase our remittance from diaspora from $4 billion to $10 billion. That is 1 trillion shillings. That is going to be an opportunity for us to create jobs. And finally, on matters job creation, we have advertised, I think, the first 14 county aggregation and industrial parks. We have already gazetted, I think, 5 special economic zones. It is one of the conversations we had with the American Chamber of Commerce. You just heard the opportunities. The American market alone is expecting more apparels from Kenya. That is why we are establishing a special economic zone in Busia, in Eldoret here, in Naivasha, in Dongokundu, in Sagana, in Del Monte, down there, and we are looking for additional land so that we can increase the scope of our exports into the globe. We have huge markets waiting for our products out there. Those are areas of job creation. You just heard that with the little intervention we made, there is a new investment in Athi River that will create 20,000 jobs. These are opportunities, and I really want to have a conversation with the county governments so that they too can take up and pick up these opportunities and drive them. I wanted to say this. We must be intentional, we must be deliberate about creating opportunities for Kenyans to work so that we can improve their incomes and we can drive our progress. Number three, sorry. partnership. My friends, governors, I'm really asking you to work with the national government. In this national administration, you have a partner and a friend. We have no intention whatsoever to take over any county function. We have no intention, and I want to say on this platform, all we want is to support the county governments for them to achieve their mandate, and we will support you to the extent that you want us to support you. Yeah? Because we do not want to take over any function. We want to help, because the success of every county is the success of Kenya. Because we do not have citizens that belong to the national government. We have only one citizen. Those who elected you are the same who elected the national government. Si ndio wangwana? So hapo ndio mimi niko. So issues like UHC, we want to work with you. Community health promoters, we have already agreed on a formula. We will co-fund the 100,000 community health promoters. We are going to equip them as national government. We are going to work together to make sure that delivery of health products, health services is efficient and reaches the last mile, and counties are best placed to do that. We need to work together on markets. As you have seen, markets is run by counties. But as you also know, in my campaign, Mama Mboga was front and center of my campaign. I simply cannot walk away from them. So I have to build these markets. And we intend to build 400 markets across Kenya, maybe 500. We're going to spend about 20 billion in building the markets. The markets will be handed over to the counties. You guys will run the markets the way you want. You will decide who is in those markets. You will discuss with us. And I'm looking for a partnership with you so that if you want to improve on the design, I am ready. If you want to improve some of the funding, I am ready. If you want us to change from here to there, sawa. Lakini soko tujenge, because I saw in the presentation here, the women are saying walikuwa wanalimwa na jua. So nitawasaidia kupanga kuweka shade everywhere na kupanga hiyo kuweka mahali iko stima, mahali iko nini. Let's work together. Let's also work together on matters to do with county aggregation and industrial parks. I must congratulate counties. We have a fantastic working relationship on county aggregation and industrial parks. They will be managed by counties. We will co-fund, and they will run with it in terms of agro-processing, value addition, manufacturing around that space. We need to work together on distribution of fertilizer. I must commend many counties who have worked with us in providing the last mile delivery. As you are aware, we believe that counties have the capacity, working with the national government, to be able to deliver to the last mile. Let us work together on matters mitigating climate change. I'm very happy that today you overshot your target of planting 2 million trees. I am told by the chair you planted 7 million trees. Tuwapige makofi counties jameni. They've done a wonderful job. That's the space. Work together on manufacturing. Work together on mobilization of revenue. You know, even as the national government works hard to keep up to the schedule on paying on time for the shareable revenue, I want to encourage counties to also look at ways of own source of revenue. We are going to assist you so that you can meet your targets and we can do more around own source of revenue. All I am saying is partnership. Let us work together. Finally, we also need to work together in mobilizing resources. As you are aware, we have made the conscious decision that we are not going to run our development, the affairs of our country, by borrowing debt left, right, and center. we are going to raise local resources. We need to work together to build local resources, to raise local revenue. We're going to work hard as national government. We are professionalizing KRA to raise more money. We are digitizing so that we can eliminate areas of pilferage. We are increasing, as I made a commitment to this country, that we are going to be a country that is focused on saving. For a very long time, we ignored the saving component. That is why, as a percentage of GDP, we are among the lowest globally. We are at less than 10%. Other countries are all the way to 50%. So we're going to do more with our NSSF. We are going to do more with savings so that we can save and be able to fund our own development using our savings. I want to encourage counties to work with us in that space. Let me finally, after saying that on source of revenue and doing everything that we are going to do, the fifth thing I want us to talk about, finally, to agree on, is on the subject I already mentioned of corruption. Good people, it is not going to be business as usual. I want to say this with clarity. It is not going to be business as usual. It cannot be the case that we lose revenue, that we cannot deliver public service because a few people decided to go away with public money. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be business as usual. We will do whatever it takes. Whoever it is, whatever office you occupy, whatever friends you have, it will not be business as usual. I want to say that with clarity because I know in here we have very senior officials of both county and national government, so that when whatever happens, happens, let nobody say, I wasn't given notice. Everybody has notice. Those are the 5 things I wanted us to agree on. Let me finally say that on the subject of debt, I have made myself very clear. We are going to do more saving. We are going to raise local revenue. We are going to raise own source of revenue in counties, and we are going to stop corruption so that we have the money to run our show. I said also that we are not going to be importing things left, right, or center. That's why in this year's budget, cement, steel, furniture, fish, we are going to build local capacities for those. We are not going to be importing. And as I have said, it cannot be the case that every other time we think, we are thinking of how to import more. Let me finally say, as I said, we are not going to subsidize consumption. We are going to promote and we are going to invest in production. That's what we're going to do. It cannot be that we are importing edible oil, we are importing all the other food items from rice and everything else, as I said earlier. We have to have a paradigm shift. We need to invest in production. And I am very proud of our farmers. Our farmers, if there are any patriotic people in Kenya, it is our farmers. Just with the reduction of fertilizer from 6,000 something to 2,500, they have done an extra 200,000 acres of crop. If you see in Kenya, everywhere, our farmers are doing a phenomenal job in producing food for us as a country. So instead of subsidizing that corner, we are going to be promoting production. I know there is, I saw some story today in one of the dailies who said we've gone back to subsidies on oil products. Let me tell the country that we will not go back to subsidies of any nature that distort things and causes us a lot of unnecessary leakage. if the Nation newspaper would bother to understand the facts. We are making prudent and proper use of the Petroleum Development Levy that is provided for in the law. It is meant to develop the petroleum industry, and it is meant to stabilize prices whenever we have unintended hikes. Instead of the nation commending us for using the Petroleum Development Levy as was provided for in the law, they have decided to be negative. And that is how we suffer as a country. All the positive things that are made by our friends are destroyed by the very negative things that we say about our country. I hope that the Nation newspaper has learned something from what Meg said, and that they will stop this tirade against the people of Kenya and against the government of Kenya, unless they have another country that they belong to. I'm told they are owned by some people who don't live in Kenya. Maybe that's why they don't give a damn about what happens to our country. Let me finally, I've said finally several times, but you have to forgive me. I am also in my hometown, so I am allowed to do a few things. So I think I have said everything I wanted to say. I'm really happy that we are doing this. We are having this meeting of minds. I want to promise my colleagues, governors who are here, that I have every intention working with them to promote everything they are doing. And whenever they need any support from me or from the national government, we will be ready. I know our development partners have done a phenomenal job in working with us to plug the gaps that occasionally exist. And I must commend them. I must commend our development partners. They have been a very useful resource for us as a government, and we will continue to work with you. In a very special way, I must commend my elder sister, Meg Whitman. That lady is phenomenal. Hata nyinyi mnakubali, huyu mama ameongea kuliko sisi wote. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Mbona tusimpigie makofi? Simameni tupigie makofi huyu mama. We must. Tumpigie makofi huyu mama and all our development. Thank you very much, Meg. You spoke like the 50 million Kenyans, one person. So thank you very much, and thank you. I'm not saying this to say anything else about the other people. Thank you very much, all our development partners. You have done a phenomenal job. We appreciate, and I speak so from my heart. On behalf of the people of Kenya, we appreciate your partnership. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your goodwill, and you can count on ours. Tafadhali tuketi chini. So asanteni sana ndugu zangu, mimi nawapenda sana. I truly love you guys. Na nawatakia baraka ya Mungu. Hiyo maneno ingine, najua MCS wamesema wanataka kubook appointment ya kuongea na mimi. Mimi niko tayari. Nishamwambia watu yenu ya kwamba unajua kuna maneno ingine tunaongea nyuma ya hema. So hiyo maneno ingine tutaongea juu ya hema. So na mambo ile ingine we will engage. Asanteni sana. God bless you and enjoy your stay. It is now my duty to declare the 10 years of devolution officially launched, and I wish you wonderful deliberations, and I look forward to receiving a report of the great job that you will do in the next 3 days. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And just two things, Your Excellency, that we'd like you to do, and that is to launch the devolution book and then launch the joint county bankable investment book. But we'll start with the devolution book on this side. So I'll call upon the COG Executive Committee, the Chair of Legal, that's Governor Mutula, and USAID Ambassador Meg Whitman to just come and witness. Allow me to count you down as we wait for Ambassador Meg Whitman and also Governor Mutula Kilonzo to just come and witness. I'll count you down, and what we have on this side is the launch of the Devolution book, which will then give details of what the county governments have attained in the last 10 years. So kindly we may sit down. Please sit down so that we'll be able to see. And Your Excellency, I'll count you down. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Devolution book. Your Excellency, with your permission, on this other side, we have the investment handbook. His Excellency will distribute a few books before we move to the other side, where we have the launch of the Bankable Investment Handbook. And the Bankable Investment Handbook is basically what each county government has to offer to investors and partners that would like to be with His Excellency. I see His Excellency Mutula wants a signed autographed book. Some of these opportunities are rare. We have one more book to launch. That is the County Bankable Investment Handbook, which is to the left of this dais. And after that, we'll have one photo or two photos. Then after that, we conclude with the national anthem. So we'll proceed to the left, Your Excellency. There you go, that unique signature. Your Excellency, with your permission, if we may go this way, to the other side of the stage, where we have the County Bankable Investment Handbook. And this is basically what each county has to offer investments, in terms of investments and partners that would like to do that. So again, I'll count you down. If we can bring the buzzer closer, please. If we can kindly bring that buzzer closer. Ambassador, if we can bring that buzzer closer, please. And again, we'll count down to 5 and have that launch. So once we have every partner there, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go. And that right there is the County Bankable Investment Handbook, launched at the 10th Devolution Conference. And there we have it. If I may now request that we have the governors kindly come and just arrange ourselves here. Would like to finish with a photo. If governors, we can quickly come on stage here. Governors, kindly if we come this way to the stage. We use these stairs just for the final photo before His Excellency may retreat after the national anthem. So if governors, we can kindly just come and arrange ourselves on these stairs so that we may take a photograph with His Excellency. After the photo, we have a gift that the COG would like to present to His Excellency, so please let's have that ready as well. All right, so after the photo session, we have a gift that will be after the photos, let's have the gift presented by the COG chair on behalf of the Council of Governors. Then I will request that we all exit the stage, leave His Excellency for the national anthem after the gift. All right, thank you. Let's present the gift. The COG chair will present it on behalf of the Council of Governors and the 47 counties represented. I'll then kindly request that we now all be upstanding for the national anthem as we wind up this bit, the national anthem. Let us all remain in our positions as we now allow His Excellency to retreat. Lunch will be served for VVIPs to the right.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. His Excellency, the President, is heading over to lunch, and all the people who have the invitation cards will be able to join His Excellency, the President, at the VVIP tent. If you do not have an invitation card, kindly go to the left. If you do not have a VVIP card, please go to the left. We'll be having lunches served for all other delegates on the left of the stage. The President, the Cabinet Secretaries, Governors, Senators, and VVIPs will have lunch. The rest of us on this side. Let me just tell you what will be happening this afternoon. We have a jam-packed program this afternoon, and the program for the afternoon is as follows. We'll have a couple of breakaway sessions right after lunch. So we'll be back from lunch in about 45 minutes. We have a breakaway session that will take place here. That will be a trade breakaway session. We have other breakaway sessions this afternoon, one on housing, one on blue economy, one on trade. The trade breakaway session will be happening right here. The breakaway session on the blue economy will be happening at tent number 2. There will be another one on the health sector and another one on housing. Please, let's have lunch and be back here. I have an announcement. If you've lost your car keys, this is a Toyota. If you've lost your car keys, please look for me and come with evidence of ownership.
Welcome to day 1 of the Devolution Conference, with this year's theme being the present and the future. We are here at the Eldoret Arboretum, where a tree planting activity will take place and the unveil of the Wall of Fame.
So ladies and gentlemen, let's have lunch. Let's enjoy lunch.